How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 14 of the Pokemon Masterclass podcast. We are happy to be back, recording. Justin, what's up?
Not much, man. You're in a new location. You wanna tell everybody what you've been working on over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah. As you can see, I'm in my basement. This is the studio now, is what we're going to be calling it.
Yep.
There's still a lot of work to be done. I actually bought like a 3-gallon bucket of paint. I'm going to be trying to paint these walls behind me. I'm going to be getting LED strips, the whole 9 yards. You know, you can see my drums.
The whole YouTube shebang.
Yeah, I got
some Metroid Dread posters up there.
Yeah.
Hero posters.
Yeah.
Some real good stuff. Yeah.
Yep. I got my drum set. I have 2 drum sets. I have an electronic and a regular. Those are behind me. I've got my disc golf rack. So I've created this little space in the basement that's all about me and all for me and stuff like that. So that's what this is. We've been talking about potentially starting streaming. If we start streaming, I'm going to be down here. I'm going to have a monitor to my right. So I'll be playing games, recording right down here instead of in my living room. So yeah, Justin, what about you, man? What do you have going on?
Not a whole lot. Just personal stuff has been pretty crazy for both of us over the past month or so. So we haven't been honest. Like the honest truth, the reason that we haven't been uploading as much is because we haven't been gaming as much. We've just been so crazy busy and just a bunch of stupid stuff going on. So it's not that we just have been lazy. It's just we just generally didn't have enough time. So now that we're finally getting back into it, we're really excited. Over the past week or two, we've been playing a lot of NU.
Yes.
And that's been a heck of a lot of fun. Some of my favorite pokes of all time are still down there. We just put out the Raichu video, which was a lot of fun. That was obviously a collab you and I did. Kanto Raichu is one of your top 10s of all time, so obviously Alolan Raichu is right up there with them. We love regional variants on the channel.
Yeah.
Some of the gimmicks are hit or miss, but the regional variants I think are S+.
Yep, I agree. I think
other than that, we've just been playing some Unite, playing some pokes. We're getting really excited for. So we have about 2 weeks to go. The official release date is actually October 5th, even though none of the videos say it. If you go to their website, Nickelodeon Brawl Stars, which is the long-awaited. Basically, it's super. If you like Super Smash Bros. If you've ever seen a meme or had to ask a question, can we get SpongeBob and Smash? Well, that's kind of what they did.
Yeah, you're getting
they
that
basically
and more.
Like copy-pasted Smash mechanics, added a whole nother string of moves, including like an aerial dash that everybody gets one of. You get aerial light attacks, aerial smash attacks, aerial grabs. So it's Smash, but it's wild and wacky, crazy Nickelodeon. Like for instance, the ones that are confirmed right now, like Sandy Cheeks is on the cover. They've already shown her playstyle. Patrick, SpongeBob. We get people like Avatar Korra, Avatar Aang, Danny Phantom, Invader Zim. So yeah, if you're excited about that, go check out some of those videos. That game is coming out in about 2-3 weeks from right now when we're recording.
Yeah,
and you can definitely expect to see some of that content from us on our other channels, and we'll definitely link it.
Yeah, plus, especially if we stream, like, that'd be some fun streaming stuff.
Absolutely.
Who are you going to main, bro? Who's your main?
Avatar Aang.
Aang? All right, good pick.
Aang. Gotta go for it. Either that or Danny Phantom. Those are my top 2.
Yeah, I'm probably going to main Zim. Even if he's garbage, I got to do it.
Post! No, they've been doing a really good job of like basically what they've been doing is every couple of days they'll just like randomly pick a character. Like today was Patrick, and they just randomly put out like a 6-minute video, and it's just one of the devs just talking, and you could tell that they just by hearing the guy talk about the moveset, you can tell that they have a lot of love and passion for Nickelodeon. Just like they come from our generation, they must. Yeah. Like all the jokes that he made while he's like showing off the character, like the fact that they're his down smash is, his forward smash is hanging up the phone. No, this is Patrick. Like they did a lot of work. It's great.
Yeah. All right, man. Are you ready to talk about Pokemon?
Absolutely.
So
what's up on the docket today?
I'm not trying to ignore you. My phone keeps buzzing.
You're good.
So on the docket today, Justin mentioned we've been playing a lot of NU. We put up the Alolan Raichu vid. We'll link that in the description. We're doing the NU special today. We did this at OU a little while ago, and We're gonna do it with NU today. It's the tier that we seem to play the most on this. No, in our friend group and on this channel, we play a lot of NU, a lot of OU, and we're
Yeah,
probably
those
gonna
are definitely the top two.
in the future. We're gonna probably cover every tier. Honestly, for the five major one or the five biggest ones from OU all the way down to PU, we'll probably be covering those like extensively. And the cool thing about it is we can revisit this in like a year's time. Or whatever. We could do an NU special a year from now, and it'll be completely different. So this,
and that's the great part is we just want to give people the overview of like, look, are we the top tier like 1,500 level players on the ladder? No, not in every tier, not all the time.
No,
there have been times when we get up there, absolutely, but it's not like we sit there daily. So if you're looking for like, well, prove to me your accolades, PMC. Sorry, this is not that type of show. We want to give off the best understanding for new people who either don't know singles competitive or don't know NU metagame. And we're kind of going to give that a little bit of a time to shine. So, like, what big meta threats can you expect to see on enemy teams, and how do you deal with them and stuff like that?
So that'll be our main subject today. Before we do that, we've got other things to talk about. Really quickly, we're going to talk about Pokemon Unite patch notes as we've added Pokemon Unite content to the channel. So Justin, let us dive right into that.
So yeah, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. This was on September 8th this dropped. Basically, there's like some bug fixes and textual things and stuff like that. A few little things in the store. Basically, it's just like quality of life stuff. The bug fixes, like I've looked, we can't even find like explicit like what did they change. So it must have been pretty minor. And there's still 3 Pokemon with egregious bugs that haven't been fixed. So hopefully that comes soon.
Yeah, they were banned out of tournament play because they're bugged.
The Unite moves for Wigglytuff doesn't earn you the normal amount of cooldown reduction for Unite move the way that other Pokemon are supposed to. That's a bug. It's not supposed to be that way. So basically, Wigglytuff's ultimate is always on the same cooldown, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The Crustle bug is basically you're allowed to like you're allowed to use your Unite move from the base jump and then use it again. So basically, you get like insta scoring. And then there's a bug with Blastoise ulti where somebody's allowed to. In certain criteria, you're able to get like 3 stacks of your ulti within like 30 seconds.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Especially for how strong his ultimate is. Yeah. So that's something that we could hopefully see in the future. But in terms of this patch, there really wasn't anything other than Blissey. So Blissey came out. She was a lot of fun. I enjoy playing her as a support. My team pretty much loves it if I'm playing as her. It's not as good as Wigglytuff, but it's a different kind of support. Basically, what they did is before you had the option between either Egg Bomb or Helping Hand. Egg Bomb, you'd throw a bomb and it'd be like a mini Gragas ultimate, so it's AoE splash damage with knockback or knockup. Then the Helping Hand is just an AoE move speed and attack speed buff for anybody within the circle. Helping Hand is really good for team play, but it basically means that Blissey is next to useless in terms of damage. She literally is just standing there slapping.
Helping out the carries.
Exactly. So, and then the other option was to go either Safeguard or Softboil. Now, Softboil gives you an ammo system of up to 3 eggs, and you throw them on somebody, and it gives them a hot spell healing over time. And like I said, you have an ammo of up to 3 eggs at a time, so you just bloop, 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 and get them all. And then Safeguard was the thing. It basically it's an AoE, and it gives you and them a shield, and it also mitigates some of the damage that they would take on top of giving them a shield, and it also renders them immune to hindrances. So you can, like, if Brandon's playing Cinderace next to me, I can, now all of a sudden he can't be frozen or knocked back or something. He can just run right through the Aurora, or he can run right through the Avalanche or whatever, or the Blizzard or whatever. So basically what they did to Safeguard is they buffed it pretty considerably. Like, before the choice was, do I heal or do I shield? And for me, I would just rather take the heal. But now the shield is legit, and they basically, like I said, they gave the damage reduction on top of also shielding. It's a really nice combo. It's actually quite a bit of defensive power now.
Yeah, yep.
And then on top of that, the the cooldown is reduced, and they also upped her base special defense. So it's a decent little patch, and now I feel like it's not that one is better than the other. Now I just feel like there's two really solid options for that ZR.
Yeah, which is the way it should be. You should be able to branch out with your play styles. It's really tough when, like, you got like heavy slam on Snorlax. You never take flail. You know what I mean? Like, you just it's just like a night and day difference.
Even after 2 patches ago, like I've seen maybe 2 flail games, and everybody else is still running.
Dude, when I see Snorlax using flail, I'm like, what's this animation? I'm just like,
what is he doing?
What? Well, I'm like, what? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it takes you back.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's pretty much it for the previous patch. Now, as the time of recording, we are just a couple days away. They just announced that we will be getting a patch for the mobile release. So today is the 17th of September. Next Tuesday will be the 21st, and that's patch day. Technically, it's for Wednesday, but because of the way that time differences work all throughout wherever you might be in the world, you might have to look that up. Mm-hmm. We'll have a link in the description of where you can find your time zones, or you can just do the conversion on Google. But basically, from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So from 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Tuesday, September 21st, until 3 a.m. Wednesday, the 22nd.
Yep.
So basically, if you're trying to play with your friends on Tuesday, find something else to do.
Yeah. Play regular Mons.
You're not playing Unite. For a 10-hour block, it's going to be gone. And like I said, that's because they are implementing the mobile. And based on what they told us, it is cross-platform. So you could get mobile players, Switch players, or a mixture all in your games at once.
Yeah,
so that's kind of cool.
That's going to be interesting. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if it's like the PC Master Race looking down on us console players.
I know, right? So the other thing to mention would be that there's a lot of talk in the community now in Pokemon Unite. And not all of it is necessarily rose-tinted glasses either. We're intentionally looking at this as a glass half full. The game is very new, and they've been patching basically every 2 weeks with something. So that's...
Yeah, something, as little or big as it is.
A trend in the right direction is what I would call it. It's something that I like to see. I just want to see it continue.
Yes.
This is definitely a fun game. It's a game that I would love to fast forward 6 months to a year and see where it stands, both in roster and balances. But as it stands right now, there are a few things that we as the PMC crew would love to see them touch. Mainly the Zapdos insta-scoring or the 2-minute double scoring. Those are 2 really egregious things right now. The matchmaking could potentially get looked at. So, but they're just a couple. And then obviously as those 3 champions with the bugged Unite moves, they're not even allowed in tournaments right now. They're getting banned already. And we already have such a limited roster. It sucks to have to cut 3 pokes out. Like,
yeah, for real.
And 2 of them are tanks. So, like, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it is.
So I would just love to see a really nice, big, juicy patch notes next Wednesday. That would make me really happy.
Same. I would love to see something that's so big that we record a video that day to talk about it.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I personally think the game needs right this second is a huge patch of look, this is a balance patch time. I don't know if we're going to get it on the same patch as the mobile release, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
So definitely look forward to that. So what do we got next?
So next we've got some bans that have happened in the past couple weeks. Then we're going to talk about tier trends. We're going to try to move through these pretty quick so we can move on to our main feature. But we want to give you guys the relevant information. So we're going to look these things over. So the first thing we're going to talk about is Arctozolt. Arctozolt has been banned from UU. Which is
crazy, right?
It is crazy. It is crazy. Obviously, Bolt Beam coverage is still good, man.
Do you want to tell them, obviously, the big reason why pertaining to Hail?
Yes. So I've got the thread up here, and they're talking about how Hail is actually seeing a lot of use in tournaments when it comes to Smogon formats, and Hail has been running the tournaments. So obviously, ladder players are catching on to that. They're borrowing teams. They're seeing the trends. And Hail is kind of really populating the ladder right now. So, obviously, a big
When we see the tier trends and we see like the very top dog is that Ninetales. Like,
Yeah. So obviously, well, what goes well on a Hail team? Arctozolt. So a
yeah,
Slush Rush Pokemon, and
Flush Rush, Stab, Bolt Beam, can't beat it.
yeah, you really can't. And you can run mixed sets with Freeze Dry, so a lot of people will do that to break through like bulky water Pokemon.
That's what mine is.
Yep.
I've got Rising Voltage,
Yes. Yep. So you've got the Rising Voltage. Some people you got the Bolt Beam, the
but that
Icicle
was
Crash.
that was for a VGC set. So yeah,
Yep.
VGC. That was a VGC. That was Series 8. To
Yeah.
go with the Reshiram
Yep.
or the Kyurem Black. That's what it was.
Yes. So yeah, that's what we got going on with Arctozolt, which actually is kind of funny because
There's one more from Yu that got banned out.
yeah, and that's Thundurus. So I've got the
Yeah.
Thundurus thread up here. It's kind of funny that he got banned and Thundurus got banned too. It's like, oh man, because Arctozolt kind of checks loose.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Arctozolt can kind of check Thundurus, but Thundurus, he's been banned. A lot of it has to do with pretty insane coverage.
Yeah.
This
Really good stats, really good coverage.
and I gotta say it's the incarnate version, the genie version of Thundurus
Yeah.
that has been banned. Insane coverage. For some reason, gets things like Grass Knot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Knockoffs really prevalent. And Psychic, knockoff, U-turn. Like it's a really strong pivoting Pokemon. Focus Blast if you really want. I hate running Focus Blast on him, but I do it
Yeah.
sometimes.
Sometimes you just gotta risk it, man.
Yeah. And it's got Defiant. And with Crocodile being so strong in the meta, and such a staple in the meta, it's really easy to pop that Defiant on
Seismitoad.
Thundurus. So, yeah, yep.
And he takes care of them both with Grass Knot, which normally they could potentially check him coming in with take the electric hit because they're ground, but
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive. It's really strong.
Yep.
I'm excited to see what they both collectively do in what is now respectively their OU tier, their new home.
Yeah, it's really interesting because we've talked a couple times about the rise of electric types in OU, and it's like here's another one. You want electric types in OU?
Yeah.
Here you go.
There you go. They're just so strong this gen.
Yeah,
They're so good. Ghost and electric types, top tier.
I'm kind of sad to see him go. Honestly, I mean, I get it. It's because of Defiant.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's the compounding factors.
Yeah, I just wish.
He's got just like one or two too many layers.
I'm surprised he got banned before the Therian version, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose Defiant's
I think it's the Defiant.
Defiant's a little stronger than Volt Absorb. So,
Well, especially being able to free switch in, like if you've already got the read or whatever, there are plenty of moves. Electro Web, Icy Wind, you know what I mean? There are plenty of moves out there that just inherently lower your stats, and you could just switch in for free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I wonder.
There are options to just to make it yourself to like without just using the Intimidate is what I mean. There are other ways to proc your Defiant too.
Yeah, this
and it's oppressive.
This kind of very loosely hurts Lycanroc because Lycanroc is used to check Pokemon like this, but we still have two Moltres in the tier, so he's still gonna see some usage.
Yeah, especially against the Fire Rooster.
Yeah.
Like Type 4 super effective is.
Yep. All right, and then moving on to the last ban, Durant has been banned from RU. Kind of sad.
Put a F's in the chat for Kevin.
Yeah, F's in the chat for Kevin Durant, guys. So obviously, this one, I'm kind of surprised he wasn't suspected tested sooner, but this is really just it comes down to hustle plus life orb and first impression. He's already fast without first impression.
Yeah, like some people might look at him as sort of like a poor man Caesar, but that's just not factually accurate. They're actually, instead of like seeing Caesar like this and Kevin like this, they're actually sort of like this, or even in some matchups, Kevin's got I'd rather take Kevin.
Yeah.
Like I believe it's base 100 speed, which is just insane.
It might even be more, honestly. It might be like 105 or something like that.
Yeah,
but it isn't 100.
Effectively is hustle.
Yeah.
Like we had a practice match last night. Actually, we were doing a fun little 3v3 match, and you had a hustle that missed. So like it does factor into your negative also, but like It's one of those things where it's like hydro pump over surf.
And then
It's
at the
probably,
same
if you
time,
land it, it's worth it.
in our practice match, you burned my my Durant, and I think I still was close to a 2-hit KO
Yeah, it still did massive
to your
damage.
Swampert. It was I was burned, but
A
I had
solid 2/3 from one hit.
yeah, which is pretty crazy on a Swampert. So like
Yeah.
the damage is there like no matter what. Plus, just having first impression in general, stab priority, like he's such a good revenge killer, and like you
Yeah.
can scarf him too, and just make that really good speed just kind of go through the roof. Obviously, he's got really good coverage too, like rock slide and crunch too. So, um,
He's just a good poke, and it's funny because he's so tiny.
I know, but
He's like
yeah,
one of the few bugs that are actually small.
yeah, and you know what? This isn't really too surprising because he was making waves early game before the DLCs were put out. I think he was UU. He might have he was a UUBL, wasn't he? He was banned.
Yeah, he was stomping stuff in VGC for the first like year too.
Yeah.
Like he was a premier. It's because the hustle, not glitch, but what is it? The hustle loophole when you Dynamax is that you get the damage, but you don't have the accuracy.
Yeah, because Dynamax doesn't check accuracy. So, yeah.
But if it was me that designed that, I'd say, okay, well then you just don't get the hustle boost. But they decided to give him the hustle boost and not take away that. So yeah, Dynamax hustle mons are always been strong.
Yep.
So
Yep. All right, so that's going to move us from our bands to our next segment, which is going to be tier trends.
so exciting.
So we've got the tier trends over here. On the rise is Ninetales. Again, I think Ninetales was on the rise in OU the last time we talked, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's just amazing. She's one of the best characters in Unite. She's one of the best characters in Sword and Shield.
Hey,
She's
hey,
just
hey, hey, hey. She's the best character in Unite, bro.
no. Right now, Blastoise needs a nerf, so technically he is.
Yeah, he does need a nerf. Why does Blastoise's ult do more than Ninetales' ult? She's a damage carry.
And he's a tank.
I'm salty. But anyway. Yep, she's on the rise. We talked about how Hail teams are kind of on the rise. And,
And obviously, her being able to have a nice speed tier, I believe it's 108 or 109 base speed, and then obviously she does have access to the ability Snow Warning brings the hail, and then she does get the move Aurora Veil, which is the light screen and reflect, both at the same time as long as hail's up.
yep. And she got some nice utility moves as well. Like, she gets Encore, so, like, you've always got that to deal with. She can Nasty Plot if you really want. I don't love her offensively all the time. But, you know.
One of mine has Nasty Plot.
Yeah, I got one too.
My shiny one is Nasty Plot, Dazzling Gleam, Blizzard, and Aurora Veil.
I think mine's the same thing. I think, does she get, what else does she get? Might be Dark Pulse. I feel so dumb not knowing.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
I think
what it
she
is.
gets Dark Pulse, but because I know the Kanto one does, and like extra sensory and random crap like that.
I'm going to look it up right now. The people
But yeah,
need to
she's
know.
really strong in the meta. So it's one of those strange things because when you look at her stats on paper, it's sort of like Pelipper.
Yeah,
When you look at those stats on paper, they don't scream OU.
no.
They don't even scream U. But then when you factor in what utility that Mon brings and then how you actually utilize it in the team format or in the ladder, I mean, Ninetales actually does have an interesting spot in OU, which I did not expect. It's borderline good in terms of damage, which is not something she's known for.
No.
She's very lackluster in terms of her damage, and that's one of the things that Pelipper was not known for was his big damage. But then all of a sudden you have stab hurricanes and stab hydros, and ooh, his bird actually slaps a little. It's kind of the similar type thing here with the Ninetales. She does have some options. Like Brandon said, there are some really good utility options too. She's just a really good all around poke.
Oh, yeah.
She's fragile, but it's one of those things where it's like you have to play it correctly.
Yep.
She doesn't just like 1v6.
Yep. So moving on to the next one, we got Seismitoad. Obviously, with Arctozolt being so popular, get Seismitoad usage, and Justin and I were talking a little bit off camera. We were just talking in how Seismitoad might just be one of the best defensive options in UU right now. You know, you got access to
bulky.
Yeah. The one thing you got to watch out for is like freeze dry when it comes to Seismitoad trying to counter Arctozolt, but
But like you can run a physically defensive, you can run special defensive. I know you and I both have one of each, respectively.
Yep.
He can set up rocks. He can toxic in game. So like it's. I know we're talking about smoke on now, so like everybody still can, but
yeah.
She's actually one of the ones that legally can.
Yep. And Pelipper's UU right now, so he's also a really good rain sweeper because he's got Sludge Wave, which is pretty strong, obviously. Earth
Utilizing
Power,
the special
Scald, so yeah. Plus knock.
Yeah, and you can go physically offensive or specially offensive. He's got a lot of good move coverage. He's got things like Drain Punch, Poison Jab, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Waterfall, Ice Punch. Lots of great stuff on the physical side. Like you already mentioned the special. He's pretty versatile. He's a good little frog.
Yeah, he is. And then we got Passimian moving up. Justin, this is a Pokemon that you love to use in low tiers. Talk about him.
Yeah, and especially down what we're talking about today in NU. I'm a big fan of monkey Pokemon. Passimian's a great one. He's a great addition to the roster now. He's one of the most, like, if you were to look at a poke that wasn't a Mew or like one of those 100 across the baseline type pokes, like Mew, Jirachi, Celebi, like if you were to take those off the table, I think Passimian is one of like my standout, like all rounder. Like if I was to tell somebody like, what's a poke that's just kind of can do everything? Passimian's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a super bulky, like it's actually really insane how bulky he is.
Yes.
When Brandon played the testing, it's got some speed, attack, HP, special defense or physical defense. It's got an assault vest. He gets knockoff, U-turn, drain punch. Like there's a lot of good utility here. But then you can also go the super offensive route. You can run Scarf, Banded, Life Orb. His Scarf U-turn, Adamant Scarf U-turns from him hurt a lot.
That's like eating one of those, not fun.
No. So yeah, he's a great poke. I think that fighting types are just in a good spot, as we'll get into in the NU discussion today. Fighting types have a real special niche, as we see in our sleeper pick page. Fighting types are really great in that tier.
Mm-hmm.
They fill a nice solid role in terms of your offensive punch, pun intended.
Yep.
And Passimian, it doesn't surprise me at all that he's moving up, because when you look at his base stats and his move coverage alone, you're just like, all right, yeah, this thing's definitely cooking with peanut butter.
He's got like Gen 1 coverage, honestly. Like when you look at his what kind of moves he can get, you're like, man, was this Pokemon made like 25 years ago or what?
Yeah, Gen 1 coverage with Gen 8 stats.
Yeah. So moving on, Tapu Lele is on the rise. Lele, in my opinion, is the most reliable offensive option in OU, in my personal opinion. Having access to stab terrain boosted side shocks to cover for Blissey and Chansey switch-ins, I think is super invaluable.
You've been able to hit those on the physical side. And
Yep. And Moonblast, Psychic, and she gets Focus Blast, Shadow Ball, and Thunderbolt or whatever if she's running on a rain team. In my opinion, the most solid offensive option in OU. It's just reliable damage every time. Scarf and Specs really, really strong. UU, we've got Celesteela moving up. Justin, you had mentioned off camera about how pretty good move coverage, access to Giga Drain to counter things like Seismitoad to kind of break him. That was a really good observation. I think Celesteela just kind of, we had the new toy syndrome. I know she's kind of a DLC mon, but I feel like as things have ebbed and flowed around in UU, Celesteela has kind of just been a staple, and I think now people are kind of picking it up as like, oh, this is...
Especially now that 2 electric checks just got thrown out the gate, so...
Yeah, so she's going to be even stronger, to be perfectly honest.
And she has Giga Drain to take care of the prevalent ground types we've already mentioned. Yep. So she's got great coverage, insane stats, a really busted ability, good typing.
The Leech Seed versions are really strong, too. The Heavy Slam, Protect, Leech Seed versions.
Definitely. She's insanely powerful. She's really, really good. She's probably one of, if not my favorite, of the Ultra Beasts.
Yep. Justin, you want to talk about Frostlass? You had a really good observation when it came to Frostlass rising in RU.
So one of the things I want to touch on is a little biased because we love him and he's a Hoenn rep, but Flygon last month got booted. Rest in peace, F's in the chat, because we lost our Flygon. We've been playing with him for almost a full year, and he got taken away from us. He's now RU.
Yep.
But, and now Frostlass is on the rise, and I said, you know what? I can't help but think that might be correlated.
Yeah.
Frostlass isn't the most offensive poke in the world, but it does have two insanely good move options from the Isle of Armor move tutor with Poltergeist and Triple Axle. Got a really good base speed of 110, so it outspeeds
Choice Flygon.
It outspeeds the Adamant Choice Scarf Flygons. If you run Max Timid or Max Jolly, you can do special or physical. He gets things like spikes. He can parafusion, like random things. Like he does get Thunder Wave, Confuse Ray for supportive mons on the team. He does get access to Aurora Veil. So there are just a lot of options, but for me, I honestly think it has to be the fact that it's just a really fast, decently powerful ice type that can do some work to a ground dragon type with that ×4 and just triple axle him to death.
Yep.
Or ice beam.
Yep. Yeah.
It could even be running something like you could even run like a choice specs or a choice band or life orb, expert belt. There's a lot of options for Frostlass. But yeah, that was just sort of my
I'm on board. I think you nailed it, honestly.
Yeah, because Flygon has been doing work. As we saw in last episode's tier trends, like Flygon was, not only did he move up to RU, then he was also trending in RU. So.
yeah. So he's made a really good home for himself there. So now, we need counter picks to rise up from the depths. And I think Frostlass is a great one. So quickly skimming
I think that's great. I think that's super awesome. That pseudo Hoenn rep. We're going to give me half credit.
So things that drop the ball, Hydreigon's dropping the ball. I see a lot of people running like Sub Roost and Nasty Plot versions of Hydreigon. I don't love those. I love him as a Scarfed or Spexmon.
He has good coverage, and it feels like a waste to just have Roost sub.
Yeah,
I don't hate the Roost subset, but it's like, what are you getting out of that other than some stall tactics?
Yep.
It's not to say that it can't work or it doesn't work. Obviously, it does. There's plenty of videos online of people using the set. We've lost, actually, just a week ago, we lost to a set that was pretty similar. So stuff can get through. It's just, it's almost like efficiency, or not even efficiency. It's more of like, if I feel like I would want a different poke to fill that slot if I wanted like a sub Roost staller, like I'll just take AA Ron.
Yeah, for sure.
What's his real name?
Mandibuzz.
I'll take Mandibuzz or something that's like built to do that job.
Yeah, doesn't take super effective from fighting.
Exactly.
Yep. So
not ×4 from Fairy.
Yeah.
There's just a lot against him. So
yeah, then we got,
he's not bad, but I understand the drop in usage so far. It's just I've always thought he was just a little bit subpar to all the other like end game dragons.
Yeah, and you know what? He kind of loses to Dragonite as well because of like a multi-scale alone. You know what I mean? Like choice specs versions of Dragonite are on the rise right now. I used one on a Showdown Sunday, and I had a lot of really good success with it. So, and then you lose to the Dragon Dance variants because they always carry Ice Punch.
Yep.
So,
and they're always going to outspeed you whether you start or not. After they get the +1, they outspeed you. So.
Yeah. So then we got Grimmsnarl falling. That's because screens have been nerfed because of Light Clay ban. We got Doublade falling in RU. And then I'm really curious about this one. Cloyster falling in OU. That's a surprise to me.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, that's one of your staples. Like, you love... I have been swept by Cloyster more than most Pokemon that exist. Like, he is a powerhouse. And especially when you think about, like, what's going on in OU right now, it just doesn't make sense that a water ice type with coverage and utility like he has would be dropping that significantly, because it's not like 2%. Like, wasn't it like 8% that he dropped?
6%.
6%? Yeah. Like, that's not a little bit over a month. Like, that's a substantial drop.
No.
People just straight up benched him.
Yeah, for real.
And I'm wondering why.
I wonder if it's because King's Rock got banned. So you know what I mean? Because that obviously takes less setup. So I think like the immediate reward of clicking icicle
Icicle
spear
Spear.
or rock slide that is no longer there. So I wonder if that has a lot to do with it. I would think, but I mean, Shell Smash I think was better in every way anyway.
Yeah, I'd bet a taco on it. So
Nido King's falling. That would be the rise of Hail teams.
yeah, pretty simple there. I mean, there's a lot of good prevalent water types. There's a lot of good prevalent ice types, and there's still a lot of really good prevalent psychic type. Kazam's still UU. So
Yeah, well, and Seismitoad is rising in UU, so that hurts Nido King.
yeah, yep.
And then last we've got Steelix falling in RU, which is kind of sad, but
Yeah,
I think there's just better like because you
rock.
only ever see him like setting rocks and like body pressing and stuff like that, and there's better rock Pokemon for sure, like rock setting Pokemon.
He still suffers from the same thing he has since, well, technically him from Johto, but Onyx since Kanto, is the stats aren't necessarily terrible. It's the lack of recovery.
Mm-hmm. That's always what it's been about for him. The leftovers has always been your best,
Only option. Yeah. So I like Steelix. I really love him. Like, who doesn't love Steelix? He's
Yeah,
cool.
he's awesome.
It's just competitively, the old Parmesan man. And sometimes it's hard to find a slot.
Yeah, for
Because,
sure.
like, when you're making a team, it's like, oh, yeah, I want to run Steelix. Sure, you can, but there's probably somebody that can do what he does, plus a little more, and probably still do it better.
Yeah, plus, well, like Flygon came, Flygon can set rocks, and Flygon has Stab Earthquake, so
Yep.
a little less room for Steelix there. So that covers all of
That
the
might be
tier
why
trends.
Double drop, too.
That's true. That's true because you can't like really like switch in on that. What are you really gonna do? And he's slower than Flygon.
Even with a Violite,
Yeah.
you can't do anything, really.
Yeah.
He doesn't have coverage to take me out in return,
No.
and I can carry Fire Punch, too, for what it's worth. Not that EQ doesn't. EQ's going to do more, but you know what I mean? You can get the burn. Like, there are plenty of options. You win that matchup.
Yeah. So that's gonna do it for tier trends. We're gonna move on to our last thing before we kind of move into our main subject, and that would be create a Pokemon.
Super excited to talk about this. So, for people that don't know, there's a little like sub community on Smogon called Create a Pokemon. Now, basically, it's exactly what you think about. Exactly what we've all done since we were kids. We draw our own. Like, oh, I'd love to see this get in there.
Yeah.
Basically, they've done that, and they implemented it once it goes through voting and all sorts of details that you don't care about. Once they decide it's official, they release it to the public, and there's 15, 20 some odd creative pokes now.
Yeah.
And there's some really interesting types. Like, they have the very first and only grass fire. They have a ice bug before there was one. Just a lot of really cool designs, cool typing, cool, just everything. Everything's just if you're into Pokemon the way we are, this is right up your alley. So they just released a new one over the past fortnight since the last recording, and this one right here we'd love to talk about. It's this big Chimera Pokemon. Brandon's probably going to pull it up or have it on screen right now, and we're going to talk about it. It's Chromera.
Yeah.
So from hearing that name, I thought maybe it'd be a steel type, like Chrome Chimera, like a Chrome Chimera.
Yeah, I kind of thought so too, but this is actually a dark poison type, so same typing as Drapion. It's very good typing, actually.
Yeah, good typing. Good offensive, good defensive, like super solid.
Yeah, so I'll rattle them off. We got 85 HP, 85 attack, 115 defense, 115
Nice.
special attack, 100 special D, and 100 speed. So it's fast, it's fat, it only really lacks in the attack department. It's kind of really well rounded, and it provides like a lot of
It's like
versatility.
a starter.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it really is. Like it's got starter.
Like, you're reading
numbers.
that off, I'm like 85 HP, 100 spec D. I'm like, that's pickles. That's Meganium territory right
Yeah, it
there.
is. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of like that. I love that type. And I love the idea that you could run like specs on this, or you could run like physically defensive and like
Totally.
spread toxic, maybe set up toxic
I wanna-
spikes.
I would run a physically defensive and potentially look at, depending on his moveset, I would definitely look into AV.
Oh yeah,
just
assault
eat-
vest. Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be. I didn't even think of that. That'd be
Ooh.
sick. That'd be super sick. Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah, so
we talk-
super excited about this. Definitely, we are going to be. We've never featured creative Pokemon yet on the channel. It's not that we don't like it. It's just there's so much stuff going on. So,
Yeah, there is.
But especially now that they've just released a new poke, maybe that'll be something that we put on the docket for next month. Maybe we try to get in a game or two report for the channel.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun. Maybe one of the fun things back in the day, 10 years ago, back then there was such a smaller pool of creative pokes, but it used to be fun to make a team of like all.
Yeah, like all. Yep. Yeah.
So, but in that tier, you don't have to. You can just take all straight up Game Freak designs and go take it on that ladder. You can mix and match and have one or two of the creative pokes. So it's really free to do what you want, and it's just a different, fun way to play. And again, for somebody that loves Pokemon as much as I do, or Brandon or Doug or anybody in the PMC crew, it just gets our nerd like smiles on.
Yeah,
just to see all these cool designs. They're just cool. There's no way to describe it. They're just cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the big ground whale with the horn and
Yep.
like there's just some cool stuff in there. That's all it is. I don't know. There's no other way to describe it. It's just awesome.
Yep. So we thought that'd be a really cool feature. So I think that's going to bring us to the break. We're going to take a little break, and then we're going to talk about our main subject, and that is going to be the NU special. All right, guys. Talk to you in a second. Alright guys, we're back. We're talking about NU. Justin put together this fun little image in the background. And
class is in session.
Yeah, class is in session. Let's talk about NU. So, Justin, is there anything you want to say about NU as an overall before we get into some specific Pokemon?
I love it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite tier. Most of my all time, ever since I was a kid, before we even knew what competitive was, some or most of my all time favorite pokes in existence are down here, and they're good. So I'm at home. I love OU. I love NU more. This is my favorite tier to play. It's really exciting. I think right now is one of the funnest times to be an NU player or to dabble in this tier if you've never have before. That's kind of what the show is about. And right here in the picture, I just sort of made a little picture in the background just as like a visual enhancement so you can see sort of like the big meta threats. Yeah. Like I just pulled from whether it's utility, offense, and we'll break it down with who's who in just a second. But basically,
the who's who of NU.
Basically, if you go on the ladder right now, I'm willing to bet copious amounts of Taco Bell tacos. Lots of all the Taco Bell tacos that you will be seeing.
Life-threatening amounts of tacos. Your life will be on the line if you win this bet.
You are guaranteed to see at least bare minimum 2, if not 3, minimum on basically every single team on the ladder above 1,200.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, like
every team will have at least 2 of these mons or more.
Yep,
every single one. I'm being I'm holding back a little. It's probably more like 3 or 4 of these on every team.
Yeah.
But
one thing I wanted to say about NU is you know what's crazy? Think about the NU when we started playing in 4th gen. Think about the power creep. Think about the power creep, dude. Dude, you were using like Ledian in NU when we first started playing it, and that would be an untiered mod now. Like you got Arcanine. Arcanine is an NU. Like, can you believe that?
It was UU in 4th gen.
Yeah,
man.
It's the power creep is crazy, dude. Espeon, I think Espeon was UU when we started playing too.
Yeah, it's the power creep of just the new generations coming, and a big part of it is all of the, we'll call them others. So whether you want to call them mythicals or legendaries, which for people that don't know, a mythical and a legendary are technically the same thing. Mythicals are just the legendaries that you can't catch in-game. Legendaries are the legendaries you can catch in-game. That's the only difference. So if anybody ever argues semantics with you about, well, technically he's a mythical. Technically he's a legendary. Mythicals is not actually a real term. But I digress. So we go in here, neither is pseudo-legendary. That's not a real term either.
Yeah. Game Freak didn't make it a thing, so stop making it a thing.
Exactly. But it's all of those other pokes, the legendaries, the mythicals, the whatchamacallits, the ultra beasts. I would say, and this is gonna sound pretty egregious, but it's not an exaggeration. I would say 90% of the power creep since Pokemon 4th gen, when we started getting into competitive, till 8th gen, where we're at now, I would say 90% of the power creep falls on those others. That's those are the pokes that are responsible for the power creep.
Yeah, because you've got Guzzlord and Deancey just in this image, and Celebi is in this tier as well.
Yeah, and then like so every tier, like they are the top dogs of their tier.
Mm-hmm.
That's just every tier that they exist in. They are S plus.
Yeah.
So they sort of like lead the pack of like what's good or what's OP kind of. Especially the higher tiers you go, like we talked at the beginning of the show about like the genies getting, like the Thundurus getting banned. Like the genie, again, I don't know and I don't care where they fall. There's some sort of other.
Yeah.
But they're one of those like legendary types where then you look at them and you're just like, man, this Pokemon's really powerful. Especially in comparison to things like Arcanine.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say, well, I mean, I don't know, maybe you got more things to say, but one thing I really wanted to say is this tier went through a lot of bans, and at first we were kind of like, why are you banning everything? Like, let's play the game. But through all of these bans, I think the NU Council has actually created a really fun and really balanced metagame that I don't think that you see in RU and UU. In my opinion, those tiers are a lot more offensive, and I find a really fun balance of offense and defense here. Like
this tier feels more like what we're used to in terms of competitive Pokemon, where there's that back and forth rubber banding throughout the game. It's not just. It's more like chess. It's not just, all right, well, I got my Swords Dance up. I'm just going to plow through 4 pokes.
I think you're a lot less likely to run into like a 10-turn game in NU. You know, obviously, especially if you're playing your cards. Especially if you're playing your cards halfway right. The mons that you picked here on this image, like really kind of, it's like a really cool balance. You know, like you've got cool offensive and defensive threats here, and some of these run both. Like some of these are offensive and defensive threats. So.
And there are threats that are not here. Like, for instance, I have Espeon over Xatu. But you could potentially see either one slotted in because they both have the same ability of Magic Bounce. So I honestly do see quite a lot of Xatu.
Yeah.
I just put them on there just because I like Espeon better. So it's not necessarily that Espeon is better in the tier. They serve completely different roles in terms of their stats and move pool, but they have the same ability, so they sort of fill that same role of, okay, well, I'm going to bounce rocks back to you.
Yeah.
Like have that threat on the team of like, oh, okay, is he going to switch in this turn to Magic Bounce?
Yep. Like I said, I like the balance here, and I'm always talking about how you got to nail your pivots and nail your doubles. Definitely the case here. Like it is very reminiscent of OU. How like there's a lot of gamesmanship and a lot of things to think about, and a lot less brute force when it comes to NU. There's a lot of gaming involved in NU. I don't find it very easy. I don't find it easy to win in NU. I definitely don't. I don't sit and play NU and be like, oh, let me just toast the ladder
for a couple minutes.
Yeah. Like I don't see that being the case.
They have a decent setup right now, especially like with the teams that we like to build. I personally really, really have always loved sort of like a balanced type of squad.
Same.
I've never been a big fan of like what we call the skew lists, where it's like 2 or 3 choice Pokemon, and I've got like a Swords Dancer or a
hyper offense,
a Spell Smasher, just smash your head against the wall kind of a team. They can do well, but what happens if somebody predicts correctly or has the switch in and you do only like 2 damage because you just bounce off a...
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like there are... So for NU, I'm going to talk about the premier grass type in the entire tier. And he's on screen right now. He's in basically every single team.
Do you want us to do? Is this our segue? We doing? We want to talk offensive threats now?
Yeah, let's talk about some offensive threats
Yep.
because we were just talking about like offensive teams. So one of the best. Now, I'm sort of fudging it by putting Rotom Mo in the offensive category, but that's what most people run, and that's what we're trying to get you prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
But just be aware that every Rotom form that's not the light bulb has 107 for both physical and special D.
That's a lot.
Every Rotom in the game can be an absolute thick boy. Do not ever underestimate Rotom's ability to be a defensive pivot on a team comp from Pokemon Select, I guess, from Team Select.
Yeah, when you look at Team Select,
yeah.
that'll usually kind of tell you what you're looking at.
Rotoms can also, because they come from a base Ghost, every single Rotom can fire off Will-O-Wisp. That's something to be aware of. They all get access to Volt Switch. They all get access to Electro Web. We haven't been seeing Web very much in RU or NU, but he does get it.
I find pivoting to be like the better option in that electric spot with Volt Switch.
We do see quite a lot of pivots. Also, another thing that every Rotom gets access to, and we do see on the mower quite often, is Nasty Plot.
Yep.
So those are certain things that you can sort of predict or play around if you see a Rotom on the team, is that you can most of the time assume that it's going to be some sort of an offensive and or pivot. They also get Trick.
Yeah.
It hasn't seen a lot lately. Like you and I have been playing for a while. We haven't seen the Trick Scarf come out for a
no.
Trick Scarf it's always a Rotom specialty.
It's debilitating when they actually get you with it. When you're not expecting it and they get you with it.
Yeah.
And another thing is
really
Pain Split. Like when you're not expecting Pain Split and you're going up against a defensive Rotom, like we've been wearing it down all game and it just Pain Splits that damage back, and like that hurts so bad when that happens.
Absolutely. So he's just insanely powerful. He can basically do everything. But if I was to be a betting man on this one, if I'm putting a taco down, I would say the most Rotom that you're going to see are more of the offensive variants, and most are going to try to set up a Nasty Plot in your face, and you can actually capitalize on their greed quite often.
Yeah. I really like the choice versions as well. That's what I like to run with my Rotom Mo.
I personally like, now if I'm going to run a Rotom Mo, I'm going to run the bulkiest lawnmower you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to annoy people, and I'm probably going to Parafusion.
Oh, yeah, God. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I definitely.
You want to take us into our next one? Right beneath him, the nice little ribbon girl.
Yeah, we got.
She is. If there is a threat in NU, it's those two pokes right there.
Yeah, I really. And this is another mon that actually like really fits into the like defensive category, and we're actually going to bring Sylveon up a lot today because I think she's one of the best.
She's S+. She is probably the best poke in the tier.
I think so too. I definitely agree. I think she's the best. So we'll talk about her throughout the day, honestly. But yeah, when it comes to Sylveon, Calm Mind, broken.
First look at her stat. The fact that she has 130 Spec D. She's only got 60 or 65 physical, but you can just dump everything there. She's got the 110 or 90, can't remember, but for the HP. So you just dump everything in physical, and if they can't one-shot you before you get that wish back up, do you know what I mean? Like you just Calm Mind, wish, and then sweep. We've been swept by the Calm. Yep. We could not break through.
And it was physically defensive too. It was physically defensive, and it just, you know what I mean? Like we took it down to
red, but then the wish brought it right back up. So
yeah, like we couldn't break it. It was crazy. Yeah. It like 6 hours, and it gets heal bell too. So you can't like break it down. Was it? Yeah, it gets yawn too. Mystical Fire,
Mystical Fire, Dazzling. Like, there's just so many options. We've actually started running a couple of months ago, probably back in June. We started running Ironhead on our Arcanine for this exact matchup.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, whoo, boy, howdy, does that come in handy?
Yeah, just like having them switch in. It's still it's still like a 3-hit KO or whatever, but like having that damage and having that pressure. Really nice, especially if you got rocks up on your side of the field.
And no recoil from the Flare Blitz or Wild Charge.
Yes, yeah.
And then if, depending on the game state, you could potentially, if they get low enough, then you can E-Speed to clean them up, which we'll get to. So I think that Sylveon is a great offensive powerhouse, even though you see her mostly as like the bulky.
Yeah,
Like,
I think the defensive version is definitely the better version, but it's a versatile Pokemon, which is that's kind of the theme here at NU, versatility.
yeah. So let's talk about the absolute ugliest, worst design they've ever created since 1990, which is Guzzlord.
Yep, we're talking about Guzzlord. Justin hates Guzzlord.
Dumbest, ugliest, stupidest design ever. Like,
Yep.
it's, yeah. So, for people that don't know, the same artist that created Guzzlord also created Vanillux and their line. So,
Yeah, so tough company.
What
Tough
does that tell
company.
yeah, and he also created Buzzwole, which is a little weird. So, But anyways, so we're sitting here, Guzzlord, aesthetics aside, was stupid look. He's so annoying. He's very, very bulky. Good he's Dark Dragon. So he does get blasted by Sylveon.
Yeah, he does.
Obviously.
Yep.
And Fairy's just premier in any tier. So, but the fact that he has access to Stab Dragon Tail, that's what, if you see a Guzzlord, just as much as I would say that you're always going to see a Rotom, obviously, is going to bring their Leaf Storm, you're never going to see a Guzzlord without the Dragon Tail. If you do, it's the 1 in a million. That would be my call.
Yep. I think offensively, too, knockoff. You just start with knockoff. Access to Toxic in the Smogon formats. And then you can spread that Toxic with, like, Detailed, stuff like that, like you were talking about with Dragon Tail. And they do call for Choice Banded sets in Smogon, which is pretty interesting because he does get access to Heavy Slam, and he's fat. So
very
fat.
large.
But I actually...
he's got good coverage, really good dual stab option with added utility on top of the good damage you already get from them both. So
yeah, I actually like Caparaja more when it comes to the like fat offensive mon, like the pseudo defensive offensive mon. I like Caparaja a little more.
The Coop.
Yeah,
love Cooper.
Yep.
So yeah, other big offensive threats in this tier, we would definitely want to mention the one on screen, the duck and the dog, respectively.
Yes.
Surfetch has been putting in major work for us over our past couple of weeks of practicing with our Raichu team, and then we obviously featured him in our video. Like we already mentioned in the news section, link will be in the description. That Raichu video was great, and Surfetch pulled a lot of weight. He was actually our only true NU on that entire team.
Yeah.
Which kind of we'll get into some nice fun you can have down here with some less than OU picks later. But yeah, the Surfetch is just so strong. He does have the first impression, like we mentioned earlier with Kevin Durant. He's got a 135 base attack. Just destroys everyone's hopes and dreams. And then he runs Leak, so he's got the crit chance. He can run things like Night Slash or Leaf Blade for 100% crit chance. You then can do things like Close Combat is insanely strong with him.
Knock off
again. Brave Bird, Poison Jab.
Yeah, buddy.
He's like a 7 move slot syndrome.
Yeah.
He's got so many options.
He can defog too. Did you know that?
He can defog. Yep. Dual Wing Beat.
Dual Wing Beat's kind of fun because you kind of like double your crit chance, but he gets Brave Bird. But
so it depends on recoil. But there's just a lot there. He's not the squishiest poke, but he's not the bulkiest. He's not as squishy as something like a Crawdon.
Yeah.
But it's a similar play style. So he fits a similar kind of niche on a team that a Crawdon would.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison, honestly. This is like the NU Crawdon.
10 different. Yeah, well, because they have a 10 base attack difference and a 10 base speed difference.
Mm-hmm.
Crawdon is squishier than the Duck, and arguably with a weaker defensive typing with being Dark Water than just pure fighting, but again, it's a pretty... So yeah, if you're used to higher tier stuff and you're used to like slotting in like a Crawdon or a Mamoswine could fit a similar kind of thing with like you could either do Icicle Crash or Ice Shard. And this thing
good call. Good call.
And stuff like that. You got the priority option, and you've also got just the straight up smash option. And then Arcanine, same kind of thing. Arcanine is just one of my top 3 top 5 favorite pokes ever.
Yeah.
He's just a giant tiger dog. You can't get much more epic than that. It's insanely good stats, both physical and special offensive. Brandon's a big fan of the special one that we were running back in the day with overheat and flamethrower.
Yep. And rest in peace, hidden power.
Rest in peace, HP. Brandon and I both respectively have a different version of the same defensive dog using the Intimidate and his natural bulk, and just we don't put much stats into his speed or attack on those ones. We just big fat dog.
Yep.
And he does work. He gets Morning Sun, Will-O-Wisp, Intimidate. Like, you can make a real tank out of him.
Yeah.
A legit tank.
I would like to say the random inclusion of teleport for him has actually, like, it's hard to fit it on your team sometimes.
For people that don't know, any Kanto rep from Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, in that game, there's a move tutor that can teach them all teleport. So if you have a legal Kanto rep that can learn to move there, and you transfer it through home and get in if they're in the roster. So you can transfer home.
You can thank Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee for the rise of the teleport mechanic in this generation.
Teleport Clef, Teleport Bliss, Teleport Arcanine,
Slowking. Yeah.
That's why. So if you didn't know where it comes from, that is how you get it.
Yep.
PMC Sport Ninja, so Doug, he's the one person out of our group that has and is given us the teleports from that game. He's the one that's played through Let's Go Pikachu. I think he has Pikachu.
I got Teleport Chansey. Absolutely broken.
Yep. So busted.
Yeah, but also has access to Morning Sun, which is really strong. So you can keep spreading Intimidates throughout the game. Toxic, obviously.
It's like what we talked about with the Steelix.
Yeah.
Like, it's the reliable recovery. It's the difference between a reliable tank and just a speed bump.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good comparison. Yeah. Steelix kind of just is like a speed bump. But yeah, and this is another mon with it's Gen 1, so it's got a pretty insane move pool. Not compared to like a Dragonite, but like, why does it get Dragon Pulse? You know, like why?
Well, think about it like this. I'm going to name off a few moves. You already know that it gets things like Flare Blitz, and it gets Wild Charge, which is the electric version. Yep. Cool. Good. Now I can hit the water types that want. That's awesome. But then he also gets things like we talked about, Iron Head.
Yeah.
He gets Play Rough.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
He gets Close Combat.
Why?
Have I piqued your interest yet?
Why?
Why does this dog? Exactly.
Why does he have Close Combat?
Exactly right. He also gets access to Extreme Speed.
Yeah.
As you have seen in the previous Raichu video that we uploaded. Also, any previous NU vids, we've been running Jake all year long. He's never been benched once. We probably never will because there's no reason to. The Intimidate comes in really clutch. The Boots is awesome. He's a great pivoter. The Teleport has come in handy. We don't always run it. But the fact that he's got such good offensive pressure, good speed tier, good ability, good typing, and then the ability to clean house with Extreme Speed. I think 2 or 3 KOs in one match on the Raichu video were cleaned up from Extreme Speed, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just so powerful to be able to have a base 80 and the fact that it's normal, so you get around a lot of type issues that you might have with because you only have 4 slots, so you can't put all those moves I just listed off. I'd love to have Flare Blitz and Wild and I'd love to have it all, but Extreme Speed is just that really solid slot.
There's a few other moves that are less than optimal now, but still usable, like Roar. Psychic Fangs is another one. You don't need that one as bad anymore because screens have been nerfed because of Light Clay. Scorching Sands.
Yes,
that's tech that you really like. Some Scorching Sands.
I do have Scorching Sands on my special variant.
Yep. Yeah, Snarl too if you're playing dubs, but we're not playing dubs today.
Yep, Snarl's great. I honestly don't hate Snarl in singles either. Like you already mentioned, he gets Dark Pulse and Crunch.
Yep.
Obviously, this is more for the special set, but if you are going to be like, I think I need some... Look at Snarl. It might not be the worst case. Like, yes, you are giving up damage on his already weaker than physical special attack stat, and you're giving up damage from the base part of the move, but Mystic Fire is an insane utility.
Mm-hmm.
-1 spec attack. So I don't hate the Snarl. I just like Crunch or Dark Pulse better.
Same, same.
But I think there could be use for like a defensive, like you said, defensive intimidate, maybe morning, and then have like a snarl plus flamethrower or something like that. I would totally run that.
It's kind of like an assault vest incineroar. Like you've got intimidate built in, but
That's exactly right.
people like to run snarls.
Intimidate plus the snarl. So you both exactly. Yep, definitely.
Yep. All right, is that it for offensive ones? You want to move into some defensive ones? Would you got more? Or you want
I just got a couple of honorable mentions that didn't make the picture. We'll just fly through them real quick. In the NU tier, I know you'll agree with most of these, but a couple that I want to bring up. Heliolisk, great pivot, probably one of the best pivoters in the tier.
Yes.
Boots and Volt Switch, having stab hyper voice, again, what we said about the extreme speed and the typing, having the stab normal type actually comes in really handy, especially for electric type that normally gets walled by grass types. It's insanely powerful. It's a 2-hit KO on Rotom Mow if he doesn't have any Spec D or HP investment. Really, really powerful. Another really good one is the new water starter from 8th Gen, which is Inteleon. He can do similar type of setup to the Duck. He can run Focus Energy and Scope Lens and run the crit build with Snipe Shot, and really, really impressive. If he can set up just one Focus Energy, he could do work.
Yeah, this is a good pick, because whenever I see him in team preview, I'm like, oh no, I don't have anything faster than this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, it's such a big threat. He's so squishy, he's such a big threat.
I've lost a lot of end games to Inteleons before. Like, you know what I mean? They just set up that Focus Energy on a Focus Sash if I haven't set up rocks, and just Snipe Shot.
Yeah.
What's left of my team. Yeah, really good pick. Really good pick. Yep.
Another one I would like to honorable mention. It sort of fits into the offensive role, but the Aerodactyl.
Yep.
I think it's a really good one. And also Decidueye. I think he's really powerful down here for offensive threats. And I'd also want to give a special shout out to a good Hoenn rep of mine, and that is Exploud.
Ooh, yeah, Exploud.
Exploud's a big threat down here.
Yeah.
He's got Scrappy Boom Burst. Got 104 base HP, so he's a big thick boy. Yep. So
excellent Scarfmon too, and just impossible to switch in on. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Like, unless you're running like an Aggron or something, which, spoiler alert, nobody is. You're like, what are you going to do to take that hit?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
So you got any offensive sleepers?
Yeah, I would like to
for the NU tier.
I would like to talk about Glastrier. I think Glastrier, the Assault Vest version. I love the Assault Vest version, and
like a Bruiser Horse.
Pro tip: don't leave without Heavy Slam. Adamant Heavy Slam can 2-hit KO a physically defensive Sylveon.
Yep, really strong because of the weight differential there.
Yep. All right, you want to talk about defensive threats?
I would love to. So the big defensive threats that we've already talked about, like the
Rotom and Sylveon.
The defensive Rotoms, the most Sylveons. Sylveon can do both, but she's really bulky. Guzzlord is most of the time seen as a defensive threat. DH and Mudsdale are the other two that are here, and those are huge defensive checks.
Yes.
Like, they're basically like, especially because Dancy has the, what's it called? Diamond Storm, which gives, so it does damage, and then it gives her a +2 defense.
It's got a chance. It doesn't always do it, but it has a chance. And then, like you're about to allude to, you can follow that up with Body Press, which is pretty good really for 150 base defensive Pokemon.
And then the same thing with Mudsdale and the stamina boosts. So if he gets hit by any attack, he gets a defense boost.
You get special attacks too.
Yeah,
it's not as important, but you can come in.
Just have to get hit.
Yep.
If you take damage, you get a +1 defense boost. So obviously he's already really tanky base stats. He's just pure ground, so he's got a pretty decent typing. He's got really good move coverage. He's really thick, so again, things like Heavy Slam will be doing really well. And then he does have Body Press. So
I think these two Pokemon are the best Stealth Rock setting Pokemon in the format.
Definitely. That's why they're on here, is because they are like the premier. Doesn't necessarily have to be a lead, but that kind of role of like the defensive rock lead.
Yeah.
They're pretty S tier in this tier. There are other folks that could do it, like Aerodactyl gets rocks. He can also taunt and tailwind. He's a pretty good lead, but he's
Yeah,
not
yeah. If you want
like
that faster version, which sometimes I prefer, like a faster stealth rock setter. I like those kinds of, because I come from a generation where Infernape is one of the best stealth rock setters. So I like to
yeah,
rely on Aerodactyl for something like that.
yeah, absolutely. Other big defensive threats that aren't on the page here, I'd like to touch base. Like it can it can go either way, defensive or offensive, but I really like defensive Drapion.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. That's a good pick.
He can set up stealth, toxic spice.
Yep.
He's got a great dual stab. Um, Another one that's sort of, I guess it's sort of on the fence, but Escavalier.
Yeah, Salvestus Cavalier is a good boy.
It's just the fact that so many pokes have access to Mystic Fire.
Yeah, that's especially like Sylveon, and Sylveon's
Yeah.
faster, so it's like this is a base 20 speed Pokemon too, so it's not like you're outrunning even defensive versions of Sylveon. So not really the best answer to that, but a pretty decent answer for a lot of other things. I find them pretty kind of interesting in a tier because I feel like fire type coverage and fire type Pokemon, maybe not like fire type Pokemon, but like kind of all over the tier. Like
There's a lot like Salazzle, Flame, Mystic Fire.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's Zoroark gets flamethrower, which like you never leave home without flamethrower on Zoroark.
Never. Other honorable mentions we want to touch here. There's three here, all basically right in a row. But the Araquanid, the Blastoise, and the Bronzong.
Yes, you cannot talk about NU without talking about Bronzong, my friend. You want to start there?
Not one bit. Or yeah, you have to mention. So he's got two insanely powerful defensive options for abilities. You can either go Heat Proof or Levitate, which counteract one of his main weaknesses, with being fire or ground, respectively. I personally go with the Levitate because it gives me free switch-ins because I'm immune to ground, where Heat Proof just reduces the damage.
Yep.
That's why I prefer Levitate, but I don't think it's like a right or wrong answer. You know, season to taste. But he is insane. He's one of, if not my, well, he's my second favorite psychic type of all time, behind Grumpig.
Good pick.
Hoenn Raptor. Bronzong is just amazing. His shiny is green. Enough said.
Yeah.
But so we're looking at 67 base HP. Brandon, how would you rate that? If you're, E to F.
I'd give that like a D plus to a C minus.
Yeah, I'd give it like a C.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the C range. It's not that great. But 116 for both defenses.
Yeah, now you're talking. That's some
A
green
plus.
light right there. That's a green light right there.
You're definitely working with gasoline on this one. So that's actually what I do. He's got 89 and 79 respectively for both offensive and 33 speed. So again, it's just a big fat bell. He can't trick him, which is amazing, depending on what your team. Like again, a Scavalier, Dragalge, Dhelmise, Caparra, Araquanid, Glastrier, Golurk. There are a lot of potential Trick Room sweepers down here, and I'm literally just skimming from I didn't even scroll my mouse.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I already listed off like 5 really good
Trick room sweepers. Yep.
Trick Room pokes. The Bronzong that I like to run is the Iron Defense Body Press, and I do max physical wall, so I'm just, because that body press is just going to murder everything.
Yeah.
116 base defense, and then you get +2 on that with the Iron D, and you basically just two-shot the whole tier.
Yeah.
That's not Ghost.
Yep.
Blastoise is an insane utility because, again, he is a starter, and he's from Kanto, so
Coverage.
got that covered. He's got Yawn, Rapid Spin, Flip Turn, Scald.
Well, I'm gonna stop you right there. You just those 4 moves right there. You just gave everyone a set. Like that's a set.
That's our set. And
Yeah.
I personally, now he's got 100 for physical defense and 105 for Spec D. So me personally, I went Spec D, but it's just a 5 difference. You can literally go either way or mix. You can go specially or physically offensive. He can do both, 83 or 85. He's got a 79 for HP, so he's at like that B plus and a half. He's almost to 80. Like anything like 85, you're starting to really get into good HP tier.
Yeah. And then a 78 speed, pretty good for a defensive Pokemon.
Yeah, he also does get Shell Smash,
Yep. So that's good for an offensive Pokemon when you
and
pair it with
he
Shell
does
Smash.
have Water Up. So really powerful if you get it off. And then obviously Araquanid, not the tankiest poke in the world because it is bug water. So like, there's a lot that can just mess up its day. But 92 Phys D is not bad.
No.
And 132 special is insane. That's like S plus level of special defense. That's really good. He's got 68 HP, which again, subpar. His offenses are whatever, his speed is whatever, but he does have a cool ability. He can either run Water Absorb, which gives him a perfectly free switch in, but Vaporeon's in the tier and she has Water Absorb, so it's
Yeah.
But he also gets Water Bubble, which reduces the damage from fire attacks, and you cannot be burned. So it gives you a free switch in to, depending on what your team is, if you have maybe like a Caparaja, maybe if you have a Dhelmizer and a Scavalier, and fire's a big threat, having a Water Bubble to switch into could potentially, and if you're taking special hits, maybe like a Zoroark, that flamethrower, like a Zoroark can't do anything against a Araquanid because Araquanid is going to either lunge or bug bite or whatever and just ruin his day.
Yep.
So he definitely has a place, and you do see him a fair bit. It's mostly because of his move, Sticky Web, though.
Yep, definitely the best sticky webs. Well, maybe not the best, but one of the best sticky web setters in the game. I actually kind of like. I like Rabambi for that role a little better. But this is
and see, I personally like Angela.
Yeah.
Because I like a little punch.
But yeah,
but yeah, those are just great. So you have any defensive ones you would like to touch on? You already mentioned your Glacier, which is sort of can do both.
Yeah,
really bulky while also punching a hole through somebody.
Yep. So we got another. We're coming up against the clock here. We got another 5-ish minutes that and we want to talk about our sleepers. I want to talk one more time about Sylveon and how Sylveon I think is the best Pokemon in the game.
In the tier.
In the tier. Having access to Heal Bell, Wish, and Protect alone is really strong. And Hyper Voice.
Yes.
Most Sylveon that you're going to see are going to be physically defensive, and they're going to come they're going to come with Protect. They're going to come with Wish. Those are almost always a given. You have to be prepared for something like that. So,
yeah, I think Wish is like 100% usage. It's not literally, but that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Wish and Hyper Voice are the two things you always expect.
Last Pokemon in the defensive category that I think are definitely worth mentioning, I'm sorry, is Dragalge. You kind of talked about that. Set up Toxic Spikes, really strong special defense. We got Garbodor, who I think is the worst of the Toxic Spike setters in this tier.
Garbodor is just trash.
Yeah, Garbodor's trash. And then Mantine. Mantine, I think.
Oh, great pick.
Yeah.
Great pick.
140 special defense and access to Defog. Get access to Toxic.
85 HP, so we're in that A-plus territory. Like, that's exactly where you want to be for a tank. 80, 85 or higher.
The one bad thing about Mantine is that there's a lot of strong electric types in this tier.
Yep, lots. I do want to mention just for 2 seconds about Vileplume.
Yes.
I don't see her a lot, and I think that people are sleeping on her.
Yep.
She only has 85 and 90 respective defenses, but the fact that she has the type advantage over Sylveon, she has 110 special attack. Even without investing in it, you can still slap, and she has strength sap. So she's one of my favorite defensive pivots. We used her a lot in the Starmie video.
Yep. No, that's a great pick, man. It's a great pick. Do you want to skim through our
You want to bring up that other picture?
Yep, I got it up. Let's talk about them.
So basically, we were talking about like sleeper picks, and I kind of did it a little different. I intentionally excluded everything that was like I did not add any NUs or BLs to this picture.
Mm-hmm.
So this is PU or lower, and these are pokes that, in our opinion, even though they're PU or lower, not only do they work, they thrive in NU.
I agree.
Or they can thrive in NU.
Mm-hmm.
The big one that I want to talk about is obviously between the spider and the snake. Galvantula, I already mentioned. one of my favorite personal web setters. And then you also have compoundized thunder, so it can slap really hard.
Yep.
You can run boots or specs. I used to run specs a long time ago. Life Orb's really good. Expert Belt. Got great move coverage like Giga Drain and Bug Buzz and a lot of cool stuff there. And he's fast.
Yes.
108 base speed.
Yep.
So it's pretty legit. But he's fragile and he doesn't hit that hard. 97 special attack's okay.
Yeah.
But with Sandaconda has really, really, really impressed me. Now, for anybody that knows me in real life, if Pokemon were real, there would never be a chance in HE double hockey sticks that I would ever come with a mile of this Pokemon because I hate snakes. I just, nope, 0%. But, oh my goodness, in a fantasy world where I don't got to touch him, whoo, this boy is my new fave of 8th gen.
Awesome. Awesome.
Is so good. He's got glare. He's so tanky. Really good, just pure ground typing. So none of the added weaknesses onto his defensive profile. Good stats. Really underrated ability with Sand Spit. It doesn't matter what you get hit with, special or physical. It activates Sandstorm, which helps break enemy sashes or just whittle people down. He gets glare, Stealth Rock. He's just great. Rocky Helmet would be a great option. That's what I personally run. So you want to talk about a couple of sleepers on here? Well, you've got some of your favorite all time up there on that top row.
Yeah, I was going to say this top row, and it's really interesting that you got 3 fighting. It's cool that they're all the Hitmons, but it is interesting you got 3 fighting Pokemon right in a row, and that should say something about NU and how good fighting types can be. Hitmon top, obviously access to
even
things
though we talked about how good Sylveon is.
Yes. Yep.
It's the rest of the tier that the fighting types are good against.
Because all of these have access to knockoff. I believe they all have access. They've all got priorities in like Fake Out and Sucker Punch and things like that.
And Mock.
And Mock Punch. We don't run that on Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee's a kicking Pokemon. You can't run Mock Punch. We will not do it.
You can't run Mock Punch. You can't run Sucker Punch. You're a cheater, and you deserve to lose. But they all 3 can spin.
Yeah.
These are all egg moves coming from Tyrogue. So they actually have a very deep move pool. You want to talk about Timmy and Lee?
Yeah, so Timmy top, Hitmon top. I call mine Timmy top.
He has featured on the channel.
This is a really good Assault Vest Pokemon. I love Rapid Spin, Sucker Punch, Close Combat, and
Fake Out?
Fake Out as a set. I love that as a set for an Assault Vest version of this Pokemon. Like you mentioned, he's got Intimidate. That's super valuable. I really like him. And then Hitmonlee, you can run like an Electric Seed and Unburden with Pincurchin, which we were going to do on a Raichu video, but Surfetched was better. Or you can run Fake Out Normal Gem. That's like the only gem that made it into Gen 8. And then you can get the double speed boost from Unburden. He's got Reckless with high jump kick. That's insane damage.
Special attack.
What's that?
Or you can do Justin's special attack, which we featured on the channel, which is the Close Combat plus White Herb.
Yeah.
So then it eats the White Herb to get rid of the defense drops from your first Close Combat, and then that procs your Unburden boost. So you get to murder something, then get the boost to then sweep afterwards. Yep. It's really good.
You want to talk about Hitmonchan and Cursolo?
Oh, boy. Jackie
Chan
here. I love me some Hitmonchan. So personally, I think Hitmonchan is in NU currently. Hitmonchan is the best of his 3 brothers. That's my personal opinion. I think he offers more in terms. If you want that offensive, let me word it that way. If you want something that's gonna, be what the fighting type is on paper and actually punch something or kick, I think he's the best.
He just clicks buttons. He just clicks buttons. Like the other 2 Pokemon, maybe there's some sort of setup involved, or maybe there's like some sort of like gimmick. But you just run Iron Fist on Hitmonchan and some punching moves, and you are like just good to go.
It's so strong. It can't be understated how powerful the ability Iron Fist is. And then I also run a Life Orb. So then I've got the extra 30% on top of that. And I run Drain Punch, Mock Punch. And then currently right now in the tier, I'm running Thunder and Fire Punch. I don't find Ice Punch as useful. Thunder Punch takes care of everything I need in terms of hitting flying types that Ice would normally hit. The only dragon in the tier is also part dark, so the Drain Punch takes care of anyways.
Yeah.
So for me personally, right now, as of September 17th, 2021, my Hitmonchan build for NU is Fire, Thunder, Drain, Mock Punch.
I've lost
And
to that. I've lost to this Hitmonchan a lot in game, like
it's
over the years.
he's so insane how he just puts the weight of the world on his shoulders. He does so much work. It really cannot be understated how powerful he is.
Mm-hmm.
And for similar reasons as those three fighting tops up top, the Serena.
Yes.
I had to add a grab rep in here, and we've actually just tried her out for the first time over the past couple of weeks. She debuted in our Raichu video.
Yeah.
And she can rapid spin, which is really, really neat. She has Trop Kick or Tropical Kick, however you want to. It's Trop Kick is technically the name, but that lowers defense, or excuse me, it lowers attack on contact. And then she gets Triple Axle, which is insanely like. I know I just said I'd rather take Thunder Punch over Ice Punch, but again, having Triple Axle when you don't have like a Thunder Kick, it doesn't exist. So having coverage at all is done. So being able to put Triple Kick on or Triple Axle on her is really, really good. She's one of those pokes that we talked about before that just like when you look at her stats, she can kind of do everything. She's got like 90 something for both 96 for both defenses.
Yeah, did you mention Rapid Spin?
What is this? Yeah, she can Rapid Spin.
Yeah, I love this Pokemon for Assault Vest as well. I think it's so easy to just slot four good moves on here, throw U-turn on her, throw an Assault Vest, and you've got a Mon right there. And then Queenly Majesty.
Majesty. Oh, yeah, good point. Talk about that.
Queenly Majesty blocks all priority moves, so just completely blocks them. So no, you can't get hit by Mach Punch. And it also works against
It'll
Prankster.
Literally say, but it failed.
Yeah, and it also works against Prankster Whimsicott. Prankster Whimsicott can't, like, defog away your hazards in the face because of Prankster. You can't.
Yep.
Yeah, and like she can't be Prankster taunted. So, like, it sounds niche on paper. It's actually really, really strong and an ability that I think
and that's
only
why
she
she's
gets.
been seeing so much. That's why she's been seeing so much play in Series 10.
Yeah. Yep. Pair it next to a Kyogre and Rillaboom can't Grassy Glide. That's why I really like Serena. I think Serena's. I think it's a crime. I think it's a crime that she's in PU right now.
Oh, I do too. I like what 120 base attack. Like she's great.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent Mon.
And then the last one that's pretty egregious that didn't even make a tier.
Yeah.
Truly, like 2 seconds. Jokes aside, would be super serious. How is Galarian Corsola untiered? It just doesn't make any sense.
I've got one theory, and it's because of everything gets knockoff and in Showdown. But
in the Showdown.
Yeah.
But I mean you just gotta play better.
Yeah, at the same time.
If that's the stop, she's still one of the bulkiest pokes in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Full stop. Like out Galarian Corsola with an Inviolate on is one of the tankiest pokes in the game.
Yep.
That's not an Uber. She gets Strength Sap. She gets Willow. She can Rocks, Nightshade. Just an annoying. Just go away, Greta. Stop ruining. Go away. I don't want to hear you anymore.
And
just
you can run physical or specially defensive on this.
Yeah, great stats in terms of defensive prowess. It's great inclusion, and it's sort of like that dart, like ooh when they did like it's a ghost. And it's like the dead.
Yeah.
Like, ugh. But it's great design. I love Corsola also.
Yeah,
the evolved form that he gets was super cool. But yeah, Galarian Corsola is just because of the Eviolite, it's so good.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that covers everything, man. It was a longer episode. All of our episodes are kind of running this like 110 to 120 range these days, but that's why we do timestamps. You guys could just jump wherever you want. So,
and we wanted to make sure that because we had quite a bit of news this week.
Yeah,
between all the different various things we went on, and just to make sure that we're not like, because we love all Pokemon.
Yeah.
So like, this podcast isn't supposed to be just Smogon or just Unite or just whatever.
There's
so we want to make
so much to talk about.
Exactly. But in terms of NU, we really hope that, especially me personally, my goal was like coming into this week's project or this podcast project. I was like, I want to make sure that if somebody's not playing NU, we give them enough information to where it's like, okay, I have a decent understanding of what to expect, having never played one game in the tier.
Yeah,
that's my main.
Agree. Yeah, I feel like this was a great primer. Like if you don't play NU, you've been thinking about playing NU. I think this is a great place to start. This is some pretty good information in my opinion.
And this picture right here of like these sleeper picks again. The first picture is Pokemon you are guaranteed to see all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's you will see those pokes in every single team.
Yes.
These pokes you might not ever see ever.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the PMC specialties of just a couple of picks that are specifically not BL and not NU that can work perfectly fine in the NU tier as it stands currently today.
Yep.
And it's just, there's more, there's plenty more. But I'm just grateful. This is for any tier in Smoke Gun. This is how I do it. This is how Brandon does it. This is how Doug does it. It's how we all in the PMC crew have been taught since day one of how to play competitive. You don't look at the tier as a closed off box.
No.
You can always go down beneath and find hidden gems.
Yep.
100% of the time in every tier, Ubers to ZU, there's always something you can dip down beneath and bring up and make viable.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why we do the sleeper pick section.
Definitely.
That's our favorite like section to do when it comes to these.
Yeah.
So
it gives our own little flavor.
Yeah. So that's the podcast, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We had a great time putting it together and bringing it to you. Like, comment, subscribe.
You can tell we love it a lot.
Like, yeah, we really
our favorite tier.
We really love this tier. So, anyway, guys, Justin, anything else to say? You ready to go?
No, I think that was great. Until next time, I've been Grass Leader Justin.
And I'm Zero.
Class is dismissed.